May we observe a moment of silence or meditation? Prayer. Thank you. You may sit. Where's my file?
Do the motion without notice after all the announcements.
After the announcement.
The members' announcements.
Wait, Jenny, we're here now. My first thing here is morning, honorable members. Let's get down to the business of the day. We have apologies, colleagues, from the Speaker. Speaker is out of the country on legislature business. We have apologies from MEC Maile. She's attending to a ministerial briefing session. MEC Mbali Shope as well. We've got an apology from her. She is not feeling well. Those are the apologies we have. Thank you very much. Moving to the next item, we've got an announcement to make from the Presidium. It's in accordance with Part 4 of the Conflict of Interest Code and Disclosure Framework for members and Gauteng Provincial Legislature. Members are required to disclose particulars of all their registrable interests within 30 days after opening of legislature or appointment of the member. Noting the above, all members are required to complete and submit declaration of interests to the Office of the Integrity Commissioner at the earliest convenience and not later than 21st of March 22. I hope that is clear, colleagues. We've been doing this every year, so this is just a reminder. Please submit your declarations. Thank you very much. We are moving right along to the next item, member statement. I have member statements from, in terms of Rule 81.1, members Msimango, members Diaga, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and member Lidwaba. Honorable Msimango, over to you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Good morning to colleagues and to the members of this Republic of South Africa. Madam Deputy Speaker, right now in the Ukraine, millions of people are being displaced from their homes, while thousands of needlessly losing their lives and their livelihoods in the hands of an autocratic dictator. The ANC, through its cowardly inability to condemn what is nothing less than an unprovoked war on the sovereign country, has made a mockery of our nation on international stage. Do you think that the people of Russia want this war? Do you think that they condone Vladimir Putin's naked aggression in pursuit of an empire? No, they don't. They are being beaten and detained mercilessly for opposing war. Anton Dolin, one of Russia's foremost film critics, had this to say upon fleeing Russia this week, and I quote, "There is no more Russia. We are suffering a catastrophe. Not only is economic or political catastrophe, but this is a moral catastrophe," close quote. Not only will the ANC be remembered for being on the wrong side of history once again, but we will also have to live with the blood of innocent people on their hands. The DA and all the freedom-loving people of South Africa stand with the innocent people of Ukraine and those in Russia being brutalized by this dictator called Putin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Msimanga. Member Diaga, is he in the house or he's virtual? Okay, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate the executive mayors of Johannesburg and Tshwane, Mayor Mpho Palazzi and Mayor Randa Williams, along with their administrations in taking decisive action to collect billions of rands of outstanding debts owed by government and big corporates to their cities. It is an indictment on this ANC administration that municipal services had to be cut to crucial provincial government departments before they paid their debts. It is bizarre that these departments that would hide behind all sorts of excuses not to pay for their services when they have the budgets, yet there are so many residents who are admonished for legitimately not being able to afford to pay for services. Municipalities have social packages whereby they can extend a helping hand to residents who cannot pay. But this can only happen when those institutions that can pay do the right thing and honor their debts. Dodging provincial departments who do not pay up keep a knee on the throat of the poor. But this should come as no surprise, as it seems to be an ANC policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Member Lidwaba is in the house or is virtual? Which one, who now? Oh, Malisela, sorry. Member Malisela.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. All protocols observed. The economic freedom fighters, Gauteng, calls on the Department of Roads and Transport and Road Traffic Management Corporation, RTMC, to immediately suspend the new module on online driver's license booking system, which was introduced on Thursday, the 17th of February 2022. There have been myriad of problems since the installation of the new module by the department through RMTC. All DLTC experienced serious operational challenges, which resulted in Gauteng residents and users being frustrated, and driving schools businesses have been shut down, and some black-owned SMMEs are on the verge of total collapse. This is done to take out all black-owned SMMEs out of operation so as to collapse their businesses. We are not surprised by this move because everything which is black-owned or black-dominated in the economy by black people is facing such harassment and disdain from government. It's the same attitude with the taxi industry. We are aware that the intention is to replace these black-owned SMMEs with RTMC trucks and companies so as to monopolize the industry. We can't allow that to happen under our watch. Instead of the department addressing legitimate and genuine queries from the Drivers Association, they resort to mass-laying and deployment of police to DLTCs as to cover these tracks. Leave police out of this and address those technical glitches. We call on MMC and the Minister to desist from their ill-advised plan to continue with the current operations and revert back to the prior operation before the 17th of February 22 as to allow the smooth running of the sector. Their arrogance has led to the closure of the 38 DLTs in Gauteng. The backlog caused by the system glitches must be put on the shoulders of the MEC and the Minister, and we hope that they will apply consequence management on those responsible for these unauthorized changes. Driving schools and users who cannot access the system are being disadvantaged by this almost non-functional system and run a risk of going out of business should the problem not be resolved expeditiously. These system glitches do not only disadvantage driving school owners, even prospective drivers are subjected to frustrations. To others, it might seem to be a minor challenge, but to others, employment opportunities of those seeking to be drivers are thwarted as they wait to secure bookings are delayed. MEC Mawolo must recognize the Driving Schools Association as part of the major stakeholders and should be consulted as one of the major stakeholders whenever there are challenges to the system. Finally, the EFF in Gauteng demands that the system be reverted to its functionality as it was prior to the 17th of February 2022. I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Member Lidwaba. My mistake, honorable members, I said it's 3 members who want to present member statements. It's actually 4. Member Kekana?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. In accordance with Rule 81, subsection 1, I, Honorable Refilwe Kekana, table the following member statement on the launching of advanced technology to monitor ongoing projects for the Roads and Transport Department. I wish to extend my greetings to yourself, Madam Speaker, the Gauteng Premier David Makura, members of the executive, fellow honorable members, all officials present, as well as the people of our progressive Gauteng province. Madam Speaker, the ANC-led government always have a good story to tell, and the following is indeed a good story. Madam Speaker, the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport has introduced technology aimed at delivering quality projects on time and at cost for a much improved service delivery experience by the people of Gauteng. Honorable members, the ANC-led government applauds and commends efforts by the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport in employing new technologies which enables the department to have real-time data on all projects that are being implemented through what they call a project management dashboard system. This system provides the department with updates ranging from procurement, planning, design, construction, maintenance, and litigation trajectory. This tool, Madam Speaker, allows contractors implementing projects for the department to feed information into the system between 4 p.m. and 12 midnight on a Friday. The dashboard is controlled and monitored by the department on a daily basis, and the various stages of project implementation are assessed. Madam Speaker, we are also pleased to announce that the second phase of this technology, which is called the Project Readiness Matrix, will be introduced to deal with compliance issues in terms of all the built environment requirements as well as the water use licenses. The ANC-led government reassures the people of Gauteng that this matrix, which was developed internally, by the way, will also ensure that no project encroaches on cemeteries, municipal servitudes, and power lines. We commit to taking services to the people of Gauteng in the most effective and efficient manner. We therefore commend the department for introducing this game changer in the digital space. From the 1st of April 2022, all contractors implementing projects for the department will have to sign a service level agreement compelling them to utilize these monitoring tools. The issue of incomplete projects for this department should be a thing of the past. Madam Speaker, we also acknowledge the effort by the department to appoint a competent law firm which will serve as the compliance officer, which will ensure that compliance is enforced in terms of meeting deadlines set and adhering to all the legal requirements to be met in the delivery of projects.
Honorable Member.
This department has a clear mandate
Your time has expired.
of providing better and quality services as well as
Thank you.
reigniting the economy. We thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Moving right along, motion without notice. Chief Whip.
Yeah, thank you. Madam Speaker, I've got two motions. I don't know which one must I start with. The one inserts, the other one suspends. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I, Member M. Kumalo, ANC Chief Whip, hereby tables the following motion in terms of Rule 7, read together with Rule 121, Rule 122, read together with Rule 138 as follows. Noting that in terms of Rule 138, no question time to the Premier should be scheduled during the week when the budget vote is discussed in the House. Therefore, request that the House resolve to add 1. Suspend Rule 138 in terms of Rule 7 of the Standing Rules. I so move, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Do you have a seconder to this motion?
I rise to second, Deputy Speaker.
Member Nell, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Those who are not in favor, say no. Thank you. The ayes have it. Moving right along. Motion adopted. First item. Going right to the first item. Secretary, please read out the first item. Okay. All right. It's Premier's question time. Member Msimango, you ready? Msimanga, sorry. You ready?
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker, to the Premier. Good morning. I haven't seen him. I hope that he's available. To the Honourable Premier, regarding the lifestyle audits of members of the Executive, could the Premier please indicate, one, by when, and we must be given the date, will these lifestyle audits be concluded? Two, if they are concluded, why have they not been released? Three, why has the Premier not taken the public into his confidence by explaining why there are delays in making these reports public? Four, if these reports have been finalized, has there been any adverse findings against any of the members of the Executive? And six, if yes, which members and what were the findings? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is the Premier in the meeting, virtually at least?
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. Good morning to all members of our legislature and the people at home who might be watching. Firstly, Madam Deputy Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to wish all the women in our legislature and in our government, as well as the women of Gauteng, happy International Women's Day. Let us join hands in celebrating the achievements of women and girl children and labor together to confront all the obstacles and the problems that hinder the progress and success of women in our society. May we again say on this very important day to the women of the world, Malibongwe igama lamakhosikazi. Wathinta abafazi, wathinta imbokodo.
Asopa.
Honorable Msimang, thank you very much for asking the question whose answer you have received on the occasion of the State of the Province address delivered on the 21st of February this year, on which occasion I reported that members of our Executive Council have completed 2 phases of the lifestyle audits framework, which is new, introduced in our country by President Cyril Ramaphosa, which took time to approve. And the Gauteng Executive Council is the first that has gone through this framework. As I said in that State of the Province address, all members of our Executive Council have provided their personal information as per the requirements of this framework, provided in a very extensive documentation. And this was followed by a rigorous interview or set of interviews by members or agents of the State Security Agency of our country. I want to say that we are in the final phase of that process, which will culminate in the issuing of the reports on the outcome of this. It is entirely in the hands of the State Security Agency. From time to time, we do ask them how far they are, but they have to follow this process meticulously in line with the framework that has been provided and approved by the national agency. They don't do it just for Gauteng. They're doing it for the rest of the country. As we said, our Executive Council is the first amongst the political office bearers of our country to go through this process. We await their finalization of this process, including what they would ask again before they submit the report. And we have been absolutely keen to ensure that we go through and conclude this process because the next phase, as has been communicated by the Department of Public Service and Administration, is the lifestyle audits of government officials beyond the vetting that has been done previously. So with regard to the rest of your questions, this, again, I said this has been answered fully in the State of the Province address. Those questions don't apply about why not released, will this be made public, when will this be finalized. As I say, we have been keen to ensure that this new process done by the state agency, not by consultants, not done by private consultants, this new process for our country, which is going to apply also to political office bearers in our entire system of government, is completed. We are awaiting the completion of this process. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I am done.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Member Msimang, do you have a question or a remark?
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I would invite the Premier to look at what SARS define as a lifestyle audit and the process that they follow when they're talking about lifestyle audits. So what the Premier told us during the State of the Province address is nothing to do with what SARS will determine as a lifestyle audit and what steps needs to be taken. But I want the Premier to tell us right now that once those findings are made available, that he will then make sure that they're made public. That's an undertaking that I would want him to make right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Msimang. In terms of Rule 138, is there a member that wants to make a remark or has a question? Thank you. Honorable Premier, please respond or remark.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Msimang, firstly, the commitment we have made that we will ensure that we inform the people of our province on the outcome of the lifestyles audits is something I would like to reiterate. We haven't changed from that. And the second thing I know is that when the National Lifestyle Audit Framework was put together by the presidency and the State Security Agency was given a go-ahead to start with this process, with a province that was ready, which is Gauteng province. The framework itself is they took that from it was a consolidation of the various systems of government. I certainly know for a fact that amongst the issues that were discussed was what SARS does, the South African Revenue Service, and what other agencies do, the State Security Agency with vetting. And I want to also say what other agencies of the state do. That framework is a product of a consolidation of all existing systems inside government that will enable the state, because in this particular case, it's a system to ensure that the state is sufficiently protected. And those who are given responsibilities, either as public officials, in this particular case, we as public officials, do so within the framework that ensure that there is no potential conflict of interest, but they also are consciously brought to bear to understand that when you are given particular responsibilities, you have a responsibility to the state and to the public. So the point you are referring to about SARS, the SARS portion is only a portion. It's only a small area of what this comprehensive framework developed by the president of our country after a very intensive process of looking at, including which agency is best placed. I can tell you that amongst the agencies that would have been considered was whether it should be the the Revenue Service or the State Security Agency. So this is be done by the State Security Agency. And as far as I'm concerned, we are very happy with the way this process is going. When it is completed, we will provide a report. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Premier. Honorable Ghana, second question to the Premier.
Thanks very much, Deputy Speaker Absheni, Mr. Premier.
Abshenos.
Regarding Operation Dudula Movement, or the Dudula Movement in short, that has been terrorizing and chasing out foreign nationals in Gauteng townships, could you please indicate, one, have you been finished with the intelligence report on the operation of this movement in Gauteng? Two, has your government formulated a response to this movement, and if so, can you please indicate what the response entailed? Three, from the assessment of your government, what are the economic and safety consequences of the actions of Operation Dudula Movement? And finally, what is your correct characterization of this movement? I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Member Ghana. Premier.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Ghana, for this important question. As you would know, Honorable Ghana, I have already answered a big part of this question during the State of the Province address, but I will reiterate some of the principles that we have stated there. So as it pertains to your first question about whether I have received intelligence reports, let me state as a matter of course that I do receive regular intelligence updates on all matters impacting on the safety, the security, and stability of our province and its residents, on all matters. And that includes some of the things that took place during the July unrest. So in Gauteng province, as a matter of course, the State Security Agency and the police do bring these matters of safety, of security, and the stability of our province regularly to our attention. Both myself, the MEC for Community Safety, and some of these issues may go directly to relevant departments as they affect the operations of those departments. So we do get these regular intelligence updates, and some of these reports go directly also to the law enforcement agencies that must do something about them. But as you know, I can't share with you the details of reports on which matter, which organization, which institution, anything that has to do, that threatens the security, the safety, and the stability of the province. We do receive reports on those. So I want to leave that at that general level of generality. Anything and any individual or entity that may threaten the stability of our province, that we do get reports on. Your second question, as it pertains to the province response to this movement, and I want to come back to because you keep saying this movement. I want to come back to what we raised in the State of the Province address. We raised the fact that, and one of the issues that Operation Dudula is dealing with is what we call the crisis of migration, which is a global crisis. Within that crisis of migration, the question of illegal migrants. This is a matter that faces many parts of the world, not only us in South Africa, not only us in Africa. different parts of the world and different countries in different continents face this migration, this global migration problem. Gauteng receives the highest proportion of international migrants. So here we talk about both those who are legal, those who are refugees, and those who come into our country illegally. So we receive the highest proportion of international migrants, particularly those who come from our continent and other parts of the world. We have, together with this, the global migration problem, we have rapid urbanization, which has resulted in a huge population explosion. And many of you may know that Gauteng was just around 7.5 million people, just around that in 1996. And now we have over 15 million people, almost 15.8 million people. So dealing with that, so rapid urbanization and migration contribute to the huge population explosion. So these factors put a great deal of pressure on the social infrastructure of our province, from schools to health services to provision for housing, and the related issues of water, sanitation, and electricity. There's also the issue of migration, both from migration, both within the country, from the different parts of our country, by South Africans who come into the cities, which result in rapid urbanization, and international migration. The combination of these two factors leads to also to competition for resources and economic opportunities. As a matter of fact, there are many economic migrants who come into our country. But we emphasize, as we said during the State of the Province address, that the way to deal with this issue of migration has to be in line with our immigration policy, but it must also be in line with international protocols, particularly on how to deal with those who are escaping from war and persecution in other parts of the world or in their countries, versus those who are economic migrants, those who are just coming looking for economic opportunity. So this always results in competition for resources and huge impact on the capacity of affected, particularly in our case, particular provinces get affected by this, the provision of social infrastructure to meet the needs, first and foremost, of citizens and the needs of all residents, people residents in our province, both citizens and international migrants who are resident in our province. In the State of the Province address, we clarified that we welcome the decision of the National Cabinet to establish the Border Management Authority and in order to strengthen border security, because one of the big issues is that our borders are porous, and therefore what you end up having into our country, illegal migrants and illicit goods move in and out of South Africa at the great risk to the security of our people.
No illegal immigrant here.
You know, South Africa's immigration policy and laws must be enforced by the state and its agencies. And in this particular case, we talk about the Border Management Authority that has been established, but generally the law enforcement agencies must do their work to keep our country safe and ensure that we, like many countries elsewhere in the world, we welcome and accredit those who are migrants and refugees who are coming into our country. We welcome them, but accredit them because they should be accredited. And in that regard, ensure that those who are illegally in our country are dealt with normally the way you deal with illegal migrants. In this regard, we repeat that it is the responsibility of the state to do this, not for individual citizens or organizations cannot take this responsibility, take the law into their own hands, and start going around pointing to who are illegal migrants and telling people to pack and go. It's the responsibility of the state to do that. And in this province, through Ukai Mulao, it's one of those things that our police have to intensify. Enforcing border security is important. It's as important as ensuring that we enforce all our laws, all the laws of our republic. We don't want violence and lawlessness, and we don't want anyone to take the law into their own hands. We have a plan. The national government has adopted the National Consolidated Plan on Migration, and the Gauteng provincial government implements the provincial component of that plan. And that plan has got 6 pillars. Those pillars include community mobilization. It includes unlocking economic opportunities and entrepreneurial potential. When migrants come into our country, they are accredited, including refugees. When they are accredited and they are lawfully in our country, they too, like South Africans, would like to make a living. They would like to earn a living, because how do you accredit people to come into your country and not allow them to earn a living? So those accredited migrants and refugees should indeed work with the local South Africans in partnership to ensure that they together create employment and benefit from economic opportunities. So we also have as a pillar of this national framework issues of regulation. Migrants who are in South Africa who want to do business must also register their businesses, and it must be clear what businesses. And here we emphasize, we're talking about people who are accredited, who are in the country lawfully. They must, if they do business, it must be clear what business they do and where do they do this business, and they must also pay tax. We are guided also by international conventions. That's one of the important pillars. We also work with local organizations of migrants or those that are taking care of refugees. We also look at issues of safety and security and continuous communication. These are the important pillars of our strategy. The provincial government, different provincial government agencies comply with this strategy of our national government and the National Consolidated Plan on Migration. As I said, border security is one of the key things that currently is being dealt with and being strengthened, and then there are other elements of that. The Department of Home Affairs is responsible particularly for areas of immigration policy. It has immigration officers who work very closely with the South African Police Service to deal with these matters. We also have other law enforcement agencies who oversee the ports of entry to ensure that no illicit goods, including illicit financial flows and illegal goods, illicit goods that move into through the various ports of entry into our country. Many operations of Ukai Mulao have also been tracking some of those goods. That's part of our strategy. Lastly, a key pillar of our strategy is to ensure that the township economic development interventions also empower the local businesses. People in our townships themselves who have run businesses for many years must reclaim these businesses. And we mean here through these interventions, including the bill that is about to come before the House and the fund that is now in operation. We want to particularly prioritize local South Africans and ensure that the local citizens in these townships take active interest. Competition in business will always be there, but we emphasize that nobody should take the law into their own hands. And the matters that have to do with those who are illegally in our country must be matters that are handled by the state. If the state allows citizens to take the law into their own hands, innocent people will become victims, and as we have seen before, innocent people will die. So it doesn't matter which organization is involved. Any organization and any individual who resort to taking the law into their own hands, who think that the issue of illegal migration is their issue, which we explain it is a matter that the state must deal with. If those organizations do that, the law enforcement agencies should address it. We are working, and we would like to continue to work with any organization that is concerned about the issue, the influx of illegal, illicit goods and illegal migrants into our country. We would like to work with them, not through violence, not resort to taking the law into their own hands, but we would like to work with those organizations. And it doesn't really matter what name they give themselves, whether it is civil society organizations or it's churches, or tomorrow it's another organization, and it may be Dudula, it may be Operation Dudula. All or any organizations, we would like to work with them and ensure that firstly the South African laws are enforced, and that the resources that we have, we deploy to stimulate our economy and benefit South Africans, first and foremost, like any country would like to do that, but also those who are in our country legally, who are looking for business opportunities, who are looking for also economic opportunities. They do so within the framework of our laws, including meeting the quotas that are there. And immigration policy is really about that. There's no country in the world that can bar people from born in other parts of the world to can visit your country or even do business or work in your country. But you have to have regulations, you have to have laws, and those laws and regulations must be enforced. And secondly, any country will prioritize its citizens. To do so is not to be xenophobic. To prioritize your citizens is not to be xenophobic. I do not want to engage in an exercise of characterizing Operation Dudula. If you want to do that, Honorable Ghana, you can characterize them. All I know is that they are concerned around the issue of illegal migration and its impact. And that concern from anybody is a matter that we must work with those who are concerned and ensure that the law enforcement agencies do their job and the laws of our country are enforced, and those who are in our country lawfully and accredited also need opportunities like any one of our people who may want to go and look for opportunities elsewhere in the world. No characterization is necessary. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Honorable Kana, do you have a supplementary question or remark?
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Mr. Premier, I accept your general response to my question, though my question is specific. And the reason it's specific and more relevant on this day is that as you respond now, there's a standoff between South African and foreign-owned businesses in Alexander. And now I'm asking you to say, all right, if you say you don't want people to take the law into their own hands, and we have people at this precise moment in Alexander who are taking the law into their own hand, what will be the right name to call them? And what is your government doing at this moment in Alexander? And the people of Alexander are listening to you. What is the message that you want to send to the people of Alexander that are under siege from this Operation Dudula movement? Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Deputy Speaker, you didn't call on me.
Yes, I wanted to check if there's a member who wants to ask, who has a short remark or question. You can respond, Honorable Premier.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Honorable Ghana, as I was responding to you, I know the people of Alexandra were listening. So everything I have explained today, to say first and foremost, as a country, all the things I have outlined, I was outlining those issues to the people of Alexandra. I don't want to go through them again. So we are a law-governed society. We have our own laws. We have our own. We have a responsibility to protect our borders. We have a responsibility to act when there are people who come into our country or goods are brought into our country illegally, and these are illicit goods, and we have illegal influx of immigrants. It doesn't matter where they come from, any part of the world. We must act to protect our country. I want to emphasize is citizens must not take the law into their own hands. When they do so, and I saw it in Alexandra yesterday, there will be people who become victims, innocent people, people who have been selling goods on the streets, because it must be the law enforcement agencies that do that work. I have seen it before, where innocent people, including South Africans, including people who have documents, who become victims because of this situation. Anybody and anyone who organize themselves to do that on their own, without the law, ensuring that it is the law enforcement agencies that do this work, would know what our position is. We want these matters of illegal migrants to be a matter that is dealt with by law enforcement agencies, because only they have the mandate to do so. The law enforcement agencies have been doing their work in different parts of our province as they have moved into different areas. From the standpoint of the provincial government, we will continue to make sure that we do everything to prevent violence, to prevent lawlessness, and to ensure that we manage the tension that may arise between South Africans who are really battling hard to access economic opportunities, and those who are in our country lawfully, who are accredited, refugees, as I said, migrants and refugees who are accredited, and those who are not. The government does what it has to do. And in fact, I know in the last few months, there's been a lot of action taken to deport illegal migrants. The Department of Home Affairs has been very, very busy. Last week, I was in Tembisa, where we also did operations with law enforcement agencies, including in some of the shops where we had to shut down shops operated without any permit by people who have no documents at all. And that's a matter of law. Law enforcement is about taking action. Those people were arrested, taken in by law enforcement agencies, including the immigration officers, and they will be deported. We cannot allow, not an inch anywhere else, that citizens take the law into their own hands. As I say, when you allow that, innocent people are going to die, or businesses will be disrupted, including businesses we can't allow people who go around asking for IDs or passports, or just look at you. You are like tall and dark like me, and then they think that you're possibly not South Africans. I have personally experienced that before, and we can't allow that to happen. It must be the law enforcement agencies who are doing their work. And South Africans, we would like to make sure that our policies, our economic policies and job creation policies, put them as a matter of priority. And that's what every country will do, without necessarily discriminating against those who are legally in South Africa. That's what my government is doing. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Premier. Honorable Hassan, questions to the Premier. Honorable Hassan. Is she logged in? She was struggling to connect. What does this mean, colleagues? Thank you, honorable members. Secretary, please take us to the next item. It's still me. Okay. Honorable Hassan will consider her when she's able to connect. We're going to the second item now. Second item rather. Questions for oral reply to the executive. Honorable Alberts, is he in the meeting virtually? Is he connected? Question to MEC Community Safety. Honorable Alberts. Okay, let's move right along. Honorable Bloom, is he in? At least virtual. You don't know, honorable member.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, can I go ahead? I'll put my camera. Can I go ahead?
Yes, you can go ahead. I called you out to go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to the MEC for Health. Regarding the Schaafenberg Johannesburg Hospital, will the MEC please indicate, 1, what departments at this hospital are still closed? 2, what is the latest assessment as to when each of the departments in one above will be fully open? 3, what accounts for delays in opening all the departments, including the accident and emergency department? 4, what is the latest assessment as to when the fire damaged sections of the hospital will be repaired? And 5, what steps are being taken to speed up the full reopening of the hospital? Thank you.
MEC of Health.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and good morning to honorable members on the call. Deputy Speaker, can I switch off my camera for better connection?
Okay.
Thank you very much, Honorable Bloom, for the question. Response to question 1. All areas of the Accident and Emergency Department and Adult Psychiatry remain closed. Many departments are running a split service across the different facilities with a referral system into Charlotte Maxeke, Johannesburg Academic Hospital as required. Response to question 2. We are currently awaiting site handover of the Accident and Emergency Department. Once all the remedial work is complete, the unit will then have to be cleaned and set up. And I was told that the other part of the Accident and Emergency, they have started cleaning it up this morning. It is anticipated that the unit will open before the end of March 2022. The psychiatric wards and outpatient services are in the fire-affected area of the hospital, and an area has been identified as an acute psychiatry area to accommodate mental health care users that present at Charlotte Maxeke Hospital. Response to question 3, the areas are either undergoing remedial work or are specialized areas in the fire-damaged area that could not be accommodated elsewhere in the hospital. Response to question 4, the project has been handed over to the National Department of Health Infrastructure Team and Development Bank of South Africa, abbreviated as DBSA, as the implementing agent. The fire-damaged areas require a detailed assessment to determine the detailed scope of each area of fire damage, which is related to pillars, beams, slabs, and etc., to determine what needs to be demolished and rebuilt, what needs to be reinforced, and what can safely be recommissioned. Concerning the fire remedial work to be done, we are awaiting the detailed project plan. The current proposed date on the National Department of Health accelerated project for completion is the second half of 2024. A response to question 4, the project has now been handed over to the National Department of Health Facilities and Infrastructure Management and will be put on an accelerated project plan, which might see the facility handed over to us before 2024. Currently, there are ongoing engagements with the different stakeholders and professional service providers to speed up the project. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Honorable Bloom, do you have a supplementary question or remark?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Originally, we heard that the accident emergency we opened on the 14th of March, which would have been next week. Now we're hearing before the end of this month. It's part of what is the reason for this precisely? The MEC is saying that they're still cleaning up the physical part of the area, but secondly, there has been a reported theft of copper pipes and other things, which I think staff are saying has also delayed it. So what is the real reason for the delay? Because this is really causing immense stress to Helen Joseph Hospital in particular. And if the MEC could give somewhat of a date for the reopening of the psychiatric ward in another part of the hospital. Thank you.
MEC of Health.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Yes, Honorable Bloom, we initially committed that the site will be handed over on the 28th of February, but just before they could do that, there was some vandalism that happened in the accident and emergency unit. So the service provider is currently replacing what was vandalized, and the other portion that was not affected, we are starting to clean it up this morning. But I think the accident and emergency unit will be handed over, as we have said, mid-March, and the part of the psychiatry that was also upgraded will also be handed over during that time. But we hope that it will be operational before the end of March. Thank you very much.
Thank you. MEC Albert, Honorable Albert. We're going back to Honorable Albert. I'm told he's reconnected now. Honorable Albert, let's move on. He'll catch up. He'll catch up as we go. Honorable Lidwaba, go right ahead with your question.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. With regard to the establishment of a single integrated and intermodal, reliable, safe, and affordable public transport system across the Gauteng City region, would the MEC please respond to the following questions? 1, did the Gauteng City region have a single ticket system for all modes of transport by the end of 2019-2020 financial year, as per Premier Makura's SOPA speech? In your response, please indicate why this commitment was not achieved, if that is the case. 2, when is it envisaged that a single ticket system will be implemented and operational in the Gauteng City region? In your response, please indicate realistic implementable timeframes for record purposes. 3, how many in rands and cents would a single ticket system cost for the entire province? In your response, please provide an estimate for each of the 5 corridors. 4, how much to date has the department spent towards establishing this single ticket system? And lastly, will the MEC and the department apologize on behalf of the Premier for having misled the residents of Gauteng and by extension the citizens of the country who watched live broadcasts of SOPA about implementing this system by the end of 2019-2020? Thank you.
Thank you, MEC Transport.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Chief Whip of the Only Revolutionary Party in the House, Honorable MECs and members. Firstly, let me greet Honorable Lidwaba and acknowledge the question. I must also acknowledge the Premier. Firstly, honorable members, the question that Honorable Lidwaba is asking, I must say that is based on a completely distorted and flawed reading of the 2021 State of the Province address. And I would just like to correct Honorable Letoaba because he wants the Premier to apologize on something that the Premier did not say. The 2021 State of the Province address on which Honorable Letoaba is referring to reads as follows on the matter, open quote, within the first 12 months, I would like to see real improvements in the coordination, integration, and optimal integration of all modes. The responsibility of the Gauteng Transport Authority is to deliver on this goal. So the Premier did not say you want to see the e-ticketing system in place in 12 months. He spoke about real improvement, and he mentioned in coordination, integration, and optimal integration, of all modes. So having corrected the Honorable Letoaba for the distortions, the reply to the question is that the progress to date is that we have as the first step to deliver the integrated e-ticketing system, we are finalizing the completion, the building of the Transport Management Center, which is the center to enable the integration and the e-ticketing system. And that 12 months is not yet over. Currently, they are finalizing the construction, and they will be done by the 30th of March. And we will then, somewhere before the end of April, unveil the Transport Management Center, which is critical for the integrated and e-ticketing transport system. With respect to the issues of the costs, I must say that Gauteng Management Agency, which is leading this project together with the Transport Authority, whose board we have just announced recently, they are finalizing the costing of the whole thing, particularly the e-ticket itself. So they will come back to us about the actual costs of that issue. And with respect to the Premier apologizing, I just want to say that there's no need for the Premier to apologize in this regard. And I think Honorable Letoaba is just being mischievous. Thank you very much.
Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, MSc.
Deputy Speaker, it's Member De Lange. My hand was up just before we missed the opportunity.
It was up for what?
It was up, but may I address you?
I've got this, don't worry. Member De Lange, you had your hand raised for what?
Madam Speaker, Member Alberts was supposed to ask questions again as well, and there was some confusion between Member Alberts and Member Hoffman, but Member Alberts was supposed to ask the question and it was missed. Can we please allow him to ask the questions?
Allow me to chair, Member De Lange. Allow me to chair. Everything is in order in this session. Member Alberts was not able to connect, but we did say we'll come back as and when he's able to connect, we'll come back. So don't ask for him to be allowed to, because he was allowed as a matter of principle.
I thought we missed the opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
You just
I've
woke
got
up,
this.
man. We want that farm in
Order.
You just woke up.
I've got
You're
this.
wasting
Member
our time, we're busy.
Mkwebo as well also.
Quiet.
Member De Lange, I've got this. It's fine. Relax. Member Letoaba, you are interrupting my process here, all of you. If there's something to be raised with the Presidium, please write it on these platforms we're at, or pass around notes, please. You are interrupting speakers here. Member Letoaba, do you have a supplementary question? Or a remark?
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. I'm going to make a remark, and my remark will be based on what the Premier has said in that particular speech. And I have quoted what he said. Safe to say I did not complete the whole quotation. The last quotation from the Premier's speech says, the establishment of Gauteng Transport Authority is taking us closer to the single integrated, intermodal, reliable, safe, is affordable public transport system across the Gauteng city region. And the important one is this one. We'll have a single ticket for all modes of transport in Gauteng by the end of this financial year.
Yes.
Everything that I said was based on this commitment when the Premier made this commitment. Not anything else that I do not know of, I was not referring to. By the end of that particular financial year was 2019-2020. Well, now in 2022, there is no single ticketing system. There is nothing wrong if we don't have it. But why lie to our people? That is the main problem. Why do you create something that is not there and falsify all the reports that we have? Now we are on record. And this is what we are subjected to in portfolio committees. People say this today, tomorrow they change it. What I'm saying is simple, right? It is written down. The Premier has announced and has made that commitment by the end of the financial year, it will be in place. But it is not yet in place. And now the MEC comes and says, I'm creating a story. But what I said is based on what the Premier has said. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MEC.
Okay, I thought there was another member raising question. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I still want to make the point that the Transport Management Center is the point of integration, and we are completing the building of the center, and it will be done, and that will help us to be able to have the integrated ticketing system. And I think Honorable Ledoaba is reading this thing without its context of what the preceding processes are in order to lead us to that. So I think the Premier doesn't have to apologize on that. The process is quite on track, and we will make an announcement on this matter at a critical point. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Dilang Alberts, or whomsoever it is that you want to nominate now to speak. Question to community safety, MEC?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Oh, it's you, okay.
Yes, it's me, Albert. I apologize for the connection that I've lost before, but I will try my best to read the question now. On the 2nd February 2023, while on an oversight visit, the Safety Committee for Gauteng was appalled to hear that the SAPS at Norwood Police Station has lost more than 175 firearms since 2014. 134 exhibit firearms and 41 amnesty firearms. What the SAPS neglected to state was that it was not the first time, and it has happened before, and that there's a reference to an article in a newspaper. In light of the above-mentioned gross negligence and apparently clear corrupt activities at the Norwood Station, a question arises, can the MEC indicate, 1, what is the state of other police stations? 2, the Freedom Front Plus formally would like to request a full audit on all police stations in Gauteng and their 13 storerooms. And 3, further that the findings be reported to the Gauteng Legislature for public scrutiny. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable MEC Mazibuko.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, for the opportunity and the question from Honorable Member Alberts. In responding to question number 1, is that there is no indication of gross negligence or corruption that has been detected at other police stations in the province. Question number 2, a full audit is currently being conducted at about 11 police stations that have been identified with high volumes of firearms in the SAPS 13 storerooms. And the audit will also be rolled out to other stations in the province. On question number 3, further that on question number 3, on the findings, they will be communicated through the legislature processes, and Member Alberts and the Freedom Front Plus will actually get the reply. Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, MEC. Honorable Alberts, do you have a question or a remark?
Madam Deputy Speaker, no, the answer is sufficient. Thank you very much.
Much thanks. Where were we? Moving right along, Honorable Ratebe.
Deputy Speaker, I've got my hand up for a supplementary I want to raise on Rule 134, subsection 7, please.
Who am I talking to? Who's
Member Engelbrecht, I've got my hand up.
Member Engelbrecht? Yes? Go ahead and ask your question.
Deputy Speaker, thank you. I'd like to raise a question. If the MEC can please explain what the impact the loss of firearms has had on increased crime levels, please, Deputy Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. MEC Mazibuko.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. We'll submit the report to the member. Currently, I can't suck numbers. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Moving right along. Honorable Ratebe to MEC Safety. Honorable Ratebe. Okay, let's move to Honorable Mabala. We'll come back to Honorable Ratebe. Member Mabala.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Just looking for the question. Just a moment.
Stop giggling, Member Mabala, and read the
No,
question.
I'm not giggling. I'm not. I'm just. I was not ready because I was actually waiting for Member Hadid. But nevertheless, here's the question to the MEC for Health. With regards to the 23 regulations in the Occupational Health and System Act, will the MEC respond to the following? Why are all 37 provincial hospitals not fully compliant with health and safety legislation? 2, what consequences management will the department implement against all 37 provincial hospital management who fail to ensure that the compliance with health and safety legislation? 3, what is the estimated cost of ensuring that all the hospitals comply with health and safety legislation? In your response, detail where the budget to ensure compliance will come from and be made available. Number 4, what plan does the department have to protect all Gauteng's public hospitals against avoidable health and safety risks? And number 5, what plan does the department have to urgently deal with the poor, deteriorating conditions healthcare workers are forced to work under? In your response, detail when and where this plan will be implemented.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Mabala, for the question. Response to question 1, with regard to all the hospitals being compliant with the health and safety legislation. Due to budget constraint, the department had to prioritize which hospital needs to be addressed first. Response to question 2, the hospital management is only responsible for administrative requirements of the regulations. Response to question 3, the compliance budget is currently part of the facilities refurbishment, thus not separately determined. Response to question 4, the current OHS program is meant to address these challenges. Response to question 5, with regard to when and where is the plan will be implemented. The OHS projects are at different stages of implementation, and the detailed plan will be attached. And with regard to priorities, the Premier and the MEC have prioritized the following hospitals: Sterkfontein, Carltonville, Dr. Yusuf Dadu, Leratong, Tembisa, Vescopis, Jubilee, Tambo Memorial, Kopanong, Sebokeng, Edenvale, and Beki Mlangen. And as I've already said, Honorable Mabala, they are at different stages of implementation. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Member Mawala, do you have a supplementary question or a remark?
Yeah, it's just a remark. Thank you, Speaker. Honorable MEC, you know, I find it very unacceptable that you are going to come here and tell us about the budget constraints, because the issue that we're talking about here, it's issue of safety. So does that mean that your department doesn't prioritize safety as one of the requirements in our public healthcare institutions?
Thank you. Is there a member who wants to raise a remark or question? None? MEC, you can respond.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Not disregarding the safety of our facilities, but with budget constraints, there is an assessment that is done, and then priority is then done accordingly. So, but I'm taking that in the remarks from Honorable Mabala into consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Member Mabala. Next question. Question 4, Member Mabala.
Yes, I'm here, Speaker. Considering that scores of doctors working in the public healthcare sector in Gauteng have not been paid their full salaries for January 2022, as the EFF, we are aware that their efforts to keep ailing public health facilities afloat mean little to the department. Will the MEC respond to the following? Number one, why have the unions representing all the unpaid doctors not been given concrete answers or responses regarding the perennial issue of doctors not being paid accordingly? In your response, detail why doctors weren't paid their salaries after putting in 40 hours a week and more than 80 hours of overtime a month. Number two, why are there delays in doctors getting Health Profession Council of SA registrations? Number three, why were doctors made to work considering the HPCSA prerequisite for entering into an employment contract with health facilities had not been met? Number four, what was the cause of the lack of budget in the January 2021 to March 2021 period? And number five, what consequence management will be implemented to deal with the mismanagement of funds in the department? In your response, provide details as to when the consequence management will be implemented, and if not, why? And please, Honorable MEC, don't respond by telling us about budget constraints. Thank you.
MEC, please respond.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Mabala, for the question. Response to question 1. The department did not interact with the unions regarding the perennial issue of doctors not being paid accordingly. The department has an annual budget to appoint 429 medical interns. An additional 341 medical interns was allocated by the National Department of Health on the 28th of December 2021. On the 2nd of December, the department received a letter of commitment to provide a budget for compensation for the 341 additional medical interns for the period January to March 2022 only. There were submissions made and meetings held between the Gauteng Department of Health and National Department of Health and Provincial Treasury to obtain the budget for a period of 2 years of the medical internship program in the Gauteng Department of Health. The National Department of Health confirmed the funding from the 1st of April 2022 to March 2023 on the 3rd of February 2022. The posts for additional medical interns were approved by the Gauteng Provincial Treasury on the 11th of February 2022 and were created on the 14th of February 2022. Mandates were sent from Gauteng Department of Health Hospitals to eGov Department by the 17th of February 2022. These submissions were already laid for the payment runs for February month. However, all medical interns were paid on the 7th of March 2022. According to our records, there are only 3 interns which are still outstanding due to administrative issues that are currently being resolved. To improve, the Gauteng Department of Health made means from other programs to appoint the additional 341 medical interns whilst managing the full and final commitment from the National Department of Health for the period of 2 years on the medical interns in the Gauteng Department of Health. Remember, I said the additional interns were allocated after we have concluded the first batch that was allocated to us. The first virement was made to appoint 119 medical interns from the Cuban medical program budget, and the second budget virement was to appoint the additional 166 medical interns from the Gauteng Department of Health equitable share budget for vacant funded posts. Similarly, 144 additional community service doctors, those who finished their internship, were allocated and paid late because of the same process of medical interns. Concessions were made within the Gauteng Department of Health before the money can be paid. These community service doctors, which is 73 in number, were paid out of the Cuban doctors program budget. The other community service doctors, 75 of them, were not paid and only got paid on the 7th of March 2022, as their budget was not confirmed by National Department of Health on time. In short, the allocation of medical interns to Gauteng Department of Health by National Department of Health and the late creation of posts resulted in the late payment of the doctors. Response to question 2, the delay in registration of doctors could be caused by various factors depending on the documents submitted to the HPCSA by doctors and HPCSA administrative processes. The National Department of Health is best suited to respond to the question as the HPCSA reports to them. It was very difficult for us to respond on behalf of the National Department. Response to question 2, to question 3, the department is not aware of doctors who are working without registering with HPCSA. The department directed management of facilities not to accept and appoint doctors without HPCSA confirmed registrations. Response to question 4, as indicated above, the cause was the late allocation of the doctors and late confirmation of the budget to pay them, which led to late creation of posts, appointments, and ultimately their payment. The last response, there are no funds that have been mismanaged from the department in the appointment process of medical interns. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Babala. Do you have a question?
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. You know, I find it very difficult to accept the responses from the MEC simply because, I mean, there is some blame shifting here, whereby the Department of Health in Gauteng is going to shift blames to the Department of Health National because they are not here to respond. But I really find it not valid enough for the MEC to come here and tell us about the Department of Health National. And also, you know, I find it very, very funny that when it comes to irregular and wasteful expenditure, there is always that element within the department. But you know, those ones, there is not even consequence management. But when it comes to paying doctors, then it looks like the department doesn't care about these doctors, because I mean, I'm sure all of us, we have financial commitments that we need to take responsibility of at the end of each month or on our payday. But now the MEC is coming here telling us that these doctors were paid on the 7th of March 2022, which was yesterday. The reason they were paid yesterday is because you knew that today you have to come and respond to those questions. So because you didn't want to look like you are irresponsible, you come here, you paid people yesterday, hardly 24 hours, you are coming here and say proudly so that we've paid them on the 7th of March. I find your responses very reckless and irresponsible in MEC, unfortunately, because here we're talking about doctors, people who are taking care of our healthcare, our patients and everything, committing to that. But when it comes to payday, they don't get anything. I think this must not happen again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there a member with a question? Or a question? Sorry, a supplement, a remark. Sorry. Okay, MEC, please respond.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I don't know what Honorable Mabala wants me to say. It's a fact that nationally, these interns are allocated by National Department of Health. And when National allocates to us the first batch and give us a budget for that, and later allocate additional interns to us, what is it that we're supposed to do? Because there's a process that is agreed in the department to say, as they come, they need to be, we must create posts, and the Department of Treasury must then allocate the budget. The 341 additional interns, unfortunately, were allocated late, and there was nothing that we could do. And once a run of payments is done, you can't put additional interns and then expect to pay them. There's a process that needs to unfold before that can be concluded. But I take that in the comments from Member Mabala, but it is not an excuse that they were paid yesterday and the house sitting is today. This question was responded to last week already. So thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
But how come you responded to it last week and then it states yesterday's date? It
Thank you, Honorable MEC.
Unfortunately, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, we've got that. Honorable, next question. In fact, a question that was meant to be asked by Member Ratebe will be asked by Member Mkwebo.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Speaker. In light of the testimony from South African Police Commissioner in the South African Human Rights Commission hearing, who admitted that the police were understaffed and lacked the intelligence to deal with modus operandi used to organize protest. Will the MEC respond to the following? One, what plans has the department put in place to make South African Police Service more to protest ready in future? Give the reasons learned from the July 2021 riots which took place in this province of Gauteng. Two, what are full relevant details and update on the recent robbery in the Norwood police stations where 158 firearms were stolen? Three, what are the relevant information on the statistics relating to the robberies that target police firearms and ammunition in the province of Gauteng for the past 10 years? If not, why not? If so, what are the relevant details thereof? Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the question. In responding to question number one, on the plans that have been put in place, the implementation of the provincial response plan to deal with emerging threats or disaster has been put in place. And the continuous update of mobilization orders they've also been put in place, whereby the early warning signals are actually sent even to members of the law enforcement agencies. And all early warnings received from the NOCC, which is the intelligence headquarters, and including intelligence reports from local intelligence gathering and information, they are also distributed to the various members, and members are made to be aware of that. And contingency plans and for Gauteng also, and mitigating possible threats is one of those indications that members get, especially the law enforcement agencies. In responding to question number 2, Madam Deputy Speaker, may I request that I submit that detailed report through proceedings so that then it is shared with honorable members. It is very intense. It can't be read here. In responding to question number 3 on the number of statistics in the past 10 years, in 2017, 18 was 154, 2018, 2019, 95, 2019, 2020, 76, 2020, 2021, 90, 2021, 2022, 74, 2012 to 2013, it was 154, 2013 to 2014, it was 113, 2014 and 2015 financial years, it was 107, 2015 and 2016 financial years, it was 161, and 2016 and 2017 financial year, it was 124. In responding to question number 4, yes, this is not applicable, Honorable Speaker, because information has actually been provided. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable, do you have a supplementary question or comment? Remark?
No, thank you. It's a comment which I think I must put forward for the residents of this province to say we are not safe, and the safety which we need an active MEC who will make sure that we have got enough police outside there at the street to defend our people against these thugs and criminals who are all over this province, whom we can't even get protection of. That's why in this province, anyone can just wake up and go to the houses of people and try to enforce law. And no MEC will act regarding those people. They will keep quiet because it's their agenda of the ruling party to continue to harass our people all over this province. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable MEC?
No comment, Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable question?
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm not easily responded to. That's why you see someone ran away today to virtual. Because we can't find him on virtual. Since the announcement of the 30 hotspots in the province regarding the gender-based violence on the 22nd September 2020, the commitment to have a dedicated GBV desk in the police station, that's what the MEC promised the people of this province. Can MEC please respond to the following questions, which they are as follows. Number 1, what number of dedicated GBV desks you have operationally in all police stations in this province? And please provide the place and the date and where they are situated in this province of Gauteng. 2, what are the detailed rollout plan of GBV desks at police stations within the 30 hotspots and across the regions? 3, what are the total number of satellite police stations in the province? 4, what plans does the department have in place to ensure that the specified satellite police stations are turned into permanent police stations with their own commanders or police officers in those areas? Thanks, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable MEC?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. In responding to question number 1, currently we have 9 GPV desks that have been set up in the police stations, and we've even dedicated cars as the provincial government. We've also ensured that we also give them more resources in the form of cars that will be able to assist them as they attend to a victim of gender-based violence. And we're also be focusing on other stations, Madam Deputy Speaker, that are within the top 30 police stations that have been identified. As you can see, this report is in line with the 2020, and this year is 2022, Madam Speaker. There's quite a lot of work that we've done in ensuring that resources are available to assist the police, including floor managers that have been deployed to the various police stations that have been experiencing the high number of GPV incidences. In responding to question number 2, phase 1 of the implementation plan focused on the 9 stations which are hotspots in the province. Phase 2 will be focusing on the other top 40 priority police stations that are contributing to high numbers of GPV related cases. Phase 3 will be that the remaining stations will also be assisted in the coming financial years. In responding to question number 3, on the number of satellite police stations that exist in the province, there are only 14 of them in the province. And in responding to question number 4, the plans, it is not us as the department that declares a satellite police station, it is the SAPS through the provincial commissioner that declares a station to be permanent, and a work study investigation has already been undertaken into the graduation of those identified satellite police stations for them to actually be made to be fully fledged police stations in the province. And once that work has been done, that study work has been done, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I'm 100% sure that is when a decision will actually be taken by the SAPS on which ones they are actually declaring them to be fully fledged police stations, whether they'll be at a kennel whether they'll be kennel stations or they'll be brigadier stations. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Mkwebo, do you have
Yes, Deputy Speaker. I think I can repeat or ngisho ngesiZulu. Awangathi angizwakali lapha MEC. Akuphi lama gender based violence desk. Akuphi. Where? You said 9. Don't come here and behave like your premier who always say across the regions. We want to know a specific place so that we can do our own oversight. We know there is no such. I passed the Kagiso police station in the morning. There is no such. It's one of the places even you can try to mention here. And then when you respond to me, do you have a dedicated team specifically to deal with gender-based violence in this province, which are appointed having a senior official from the police force to take care of this a crime which is happening in this province? And it's like you're treating this gender-based violence very lenient because and it's a priority crime in this province. Where are this desk and which team is dealing with this crime which is happening in this province? We are very serious about this incident which is happening in this province regarding gender-based violence. Don't say nine police stations. Where?
Honorable Lemisi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Most of these stations are clustered under what is known as the FCS. And we've got Benoni, we've got Brakpan, we've got Springs, we've got Tembisa, we've got Katlehong, we've got Germiston, we've got Johannesburg Central, we've got Hillbrow, we've got Alexander, we've got Honeydew. Kagiso lo ngafuna ukuyizwa nayo is included. It is within those stations where those GPV desks have actually been set up, Honorable Member. And mangabe siphendula lama question, you either take our answer or go jump into the lake. Thank you very much.
Deputy Speaker, she said I must jump to the lake.
No, she didn't. We'll check in hindsight. I don't think she did. We'll check Hansard. We didn't hear that.
Point of order.
Yes,
Madam
what's the
Deputy,
order?
Point of order.
I'm saying I did not hear that, so I'll check.
No.
What order?
What were you smiling at? Oh, yeah, what are you much?
I'm just generally pretty, that's why I'm smiling. I'm generally pretty.
Madam Speaker,
Madam Speaker.
I think we all heard it. All we're asking is that you ask the Honorable MEC to withdraw that last statement. That's all that we're asking for. That's all. She must withdraw.
Noted. We'll check Hansard. I smile because generally I am happy with Chappie.
We all heard it, Chair. Speaker, we all heard it.
So
Nah, we can't be threatened as well. There's no one who can do all these things we are threatening. We'll check.
She must withdraw.
O tlwaetse mme go bua jalo le batho. O sele mme.
She must withdraw.
We cannot be undermined like that. This is not the
Speaker, I even heard it in Mobilization.
Honorable members, let's move right along. Hansard will assist us. Thank you.
Madam.
Okay, if she did. If she did.
Madam Speaker.
You're rising on order?
On a point of order, Chair.
Okay.
We are not going to allow this to
Can the MEC withdraw the statement?
Madam Speaker.
Order.
Madam Speaker and honourable members, I think I want to agree with Member Msima. Let us protect the decorum of the House, because accounting and answering questions is not a choice. It's regulated by law. So therefore, please ask Honourable MEC to withdraw the last statement, please.
Honorable MEC, did you say what is alleged that you said? If you did, please withdraw. Thank you very much. Utwi Shilo and Utwi withdraw. Thank you very much.
So she's only apologizing to
Mabala,
Dlamini. What
we've
about
got
the
this.
rest of us?
Relax.
No.
Honorable Mabala, relax.
No. This is unacceptable.
She's apologizing to Dlamini. Eh?
Stop squabbling.
She doesn't see anything wrong.
Honorable Mukwebo and Mabala, stop squabbling. It's gone past. It's withdrawn. Let's move on to Honorable Padenost.
Thank you, Speaker. But it seems like in this House, the opposition can say what they want and nothing will happen to them.
Don't push it on Member Padenost.
Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. Motlakeng, this question is to the MEC of Social Development. Motlakeng 20 prototype old age home is receiving financial aid from the Department of Social Development. Could the MEC please give us answers on these following questions? How is it possible that a non-functional old age home is receiving funding from the Department of Social Development? Number two, how long have the Department of Social Development been funding this old age home? Number three, how much do they receive per quarter from the Department of Social Development? Number four, where are the occupants of this old age home since the opening in 2012? Thank you.
MEC Mosupia, please respond.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and thank you to Honorable Badenhorst for the question. So in responding to question one, an administrator by the name of Friendship Haven was appointed and funded to assist Motlakeng 20 PTP to comply with municipal bylaws and be awarded an occupancy certificate. Parallel to the process, staff were appointed in preparation for admission of beneficiaries and smooth operation at the time of complying. The staff was working at Friendship Haven to get exposure in a residential facility for older persons and ensure smooth transition and uninterrupted service delivery upon admission of beneficiaries. Responding to your question, to your second question, Honorable Badenhorst, the department funded the old age home since the 2016-17 financial year to date. Responding to your third question, 270,000 per quarter for 21 financial year. Responding to your last question, the facility never admitted beneficiaries since its opening to date due to non-compliance with municipal bylaws. Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Member Buddy, do you have a supplementary question or comment?
This mic. Yes, Speaker, thank you. Speaker, I just wanted to know from the MEC if this Motlakeng was funded for all these years without any occupants, how is it possible? Where did the money go to? Thank you.
MEC?
Okay. Thank you very much again.
Member Mabala, can I make a comment, please?
Okay. Go ahead, make a comment. You respond, MEC.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You know, it's also an example of a government that doesn't account to anyone, and there is no transparency here. Because how come an old age home is being funded from 2016-17 financial year to date, but there are no occupants? I mean, what did the department do? Because, I mean, this is a serious matter. There is money that has been pumped into this particular institution, but it is not servicing anybody. And we're being told about the bylaws, the municipal bylaws. What has the department done so far to make sure that this institution is operational?
Okay, MSC, please respond.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Madam Deputy Speaker. I'll start by responding to Honorable Badenhorst. Honorable Badenhorst, I think in responding to your first question, I was very clear in stating that the money went to an administrator, Friendship Haven OAH, not the old age home itself. And went to, and yes, Honorable Mabala, this process that we're in right now is for the purpose of accounting. Yeah, we are accounting for everything that has happened throughout this throughout the process. And on the matter of municipal bylaws, there are dependencies there, and municipalities are an independent sphere of government. So you want to know what the department has done to make sure that this is occupied. Response to question one is one of the things that we have done. The second thing is that we are engaging with the municipality to make sure that we meet the requirements of the occupancy certificates and other legislative requirements that are in place. Last week, I had a meeting with an IGR meeting with MMCs in this in the area, and I did raise the matter with the relevant MMC, and we are going to have a discussion, a meeting in the coming week to make sure that the municipality ticks off all the boxes that are needed in there. It is my concern that this thing must start working and giving service to the elderly in that area. So I think I'll leave my response at that, Honorable Madam Deputy Speaker.
Just keep quiet.
So,
Just keep quiet.
the middlemen to loot the state's funds.
Member Engelbrecht, you raised your order. Member Mukwebo, order. Member Mukwebo, order. Order. They won't keep quiet in my account. Member Mabala, you've spoken.
There is no accountability here.
Member Engelbrecht, it's your chance now to speak.
There is no accountability.
Mukwebo, we know you're in the house, member. Member Mukwebo, we know you're in the house.
You are just a bunch of looters, man.
Member Engelbrecht, can you come in? I think you raised your hand in between the conversation.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm writing on Rule 134, subsection 7. I'd like to ask the MEC, according to the third quarter financial report, 548,822 Rand was spent on Motlakeng. And I'd like to ask the MEC, what interventions resulted in the 14% over expenditure on the budget was spent on this program? If the MEC can then just explain that, please. Thank you.
MEC?
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker, and thanks, Honorable Engelbrecht. Yeah, you were in the committee, Honorable Engelbrecht, but for the purposes of the sitting, I will give that explanation again. You will recall that it was explained that that money was spent on renovations to the facility. So I don't understand why you are asking the question. Perhaps I want to believe that you are doing for the benefit of the House. But that has got nothing to do with the funding of the administrators. It was mainly for renovations to the building itself, to the structure. Thanks.
So you renovate something that is not operational. You renovate.
Thank you very much. Member Badenhorst, the next question, please.
Speaker. Okay. MEC, there's a tendency in the Department of Social Development for not obeying court orders and undermining the professionals in this department. With regard to the case number PSH 5777/16/17, the arbitration award, will the MEC please respond to the following questions? Number one, why has the arbitration court order not been undermined? Is baie dom, jy wat so antwoord, want julle kan nie lees nie. You can't read. Don't, sorry, Speaker. You is baie dom. Dis baie dom. You can't read. So you want to come and tell me.
What's happening now?
Number two, how much money has the Department of Social Development spent on litigation matters? Number three, the healthcare workers referred to in the order have not been reinstated or compensated since 2018. Why is this? Number four, what compensation plan has been put in place where this matter and other like matters are concerned? And number five, the healthcare workers in the attached court order were dismissed in September 2016. To date, no compensation or settlement has been carried out. Why did this happen? Thank you.
Thank you, Member. Honorable Member. Honorable MEC, listen to answers Galogu, Member Badenhorst. Member MEC, Honorable MEC.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Madam Deputy Speaker. Thanks for the question, Honorable Badenhorst. Responding to your first question, the matter referred to above is that of Radzilani and others versus the Department of Social Development. And the case number is PSHS 771-16/17. The applicants are varying unfair labor practices by the department. The application was brought on behalf of assistant nurses employed within the department. The matter involves about 63 assistant nurses. The arbitration award directed the department to retain the applicants who were employed on a fixed term contract indefinitely. Section 145 of the Labor Relations Act makes provision for the Labor Court to review an arbitration award. The latest update provided by the Office of the State Attorney indicates that the respondents in the review, Honorable Badenhorst, are supplementing their answering affidavits, and that the State Attorney is going to index and paginate the court file. Furthermore, the State Attorney will also brief counsel to draft heads of argument on behalf of the department. State Attorney Ms. Cindy Manichana has been assigned the matter. Mr. Mafika Chabalala in the department's legal advisory is the department's legal advisory in the matter. The arbitration award has not been undermined by the department, Honorable Badenhorst, and I think it's important that you note that. The department thoroughly considered the arbitration award made against it and resolved that the matter must be taken on review to the Labor Court.
the department was exercising a legal right afforded to it in law for the following reasons. There's 4 reasons that I'm going to give you. The first one is that certain facts submitted by the department were not properly or adequately considered by the arbitrator. The second reason is that the award was defective in that a gross irregularity was committed in the conduct of the arbitration hearing, and the commissioner exceeded his powers during the arbitration hearing. The third reason is that the financial impact on the award on the department due to the number of applicants involved. And the last reason is that the precedent created may have an unintended influence or impact on other work streams which may share similar circumstances. Responding to your second question, Honorable Badenhorst, legal fees paid to the Office of the State Attorney to date between April 2021 and January 2022 amount to just over 1.8 million. This amount relates to the conducting of litigation in approximately 54 matters. Invoices have been submitted to the Department of Finance Directorate on the 15th of February 2022 in the amount of 259,075 cents. Responding to your third question, Honorable Badenhorst, the reinstatement or compensation of the affected staff nurses cannot be implemented until the review application has been finalized by the Labour Court. Responding to your fourth question, should the department be unsuccessful in the review application in the Labour Court, financial resources will have to be made available to implement the arbitration award. Responding to your fifth and last question, compensation of the staff nurses cannot be implemented until the review application has been finalized by the Labour Court. So due to the nature of the different positions of the parties, settlement of the matter was not possible. Therefore, the matter proceeded to arbitration, which was finalized, and the arbitration award was subsequently taken on review by the department to the Labour Court. The matter is ongoing before the Labour Court.
Okay, Member Badenhorst.
See, Honorable MEC, you know, it's funny. Imagine taking 6 years to review a matter. So it means really that the department has been undermining the livelihoods of those nurses. Why must they beg you for what was awarded to them? Why can't you just pay them and get done with this matter? Because you've been dragging your feet for 6 years. That's why that social development is in a mess right through Gauteng, because you keep on dragging your feet for the people of Gauteng. So wake up and smell the coffee, man.
Is there a member that wants to make a remark or a comment or a question? Thank you. MEC?
No, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. You know, if I'm going to respond literally to the smelling of the coffee, I love coffee, so I smell it 4 or 5 times a day. But thanks for reminding me that I love coffee. Honorable Badenhorst, there is something called respect for process. And as a governing party, we take that very seriously. So I just explained to you that there is a process that is under review, and that is before the relevant institution. So we are not going to take shortcuts just because you are, throwing a tantrum, for lack of a better word, around this matter. You are trying to create an impression that we don't want to pay these nurses. We care about their well-being. We do. But it does not mean we are going to then violate process. No, we're not going to do it. If the finding is that we have to pay them, and our review process is advising us to do that, we will pay them gladly. And they, from where they are, won't have a problem of taking anything on renewal or for reconsideration. So we are doing this also having their interest at heart.
respect for process is not going to be compromised. It isn't going to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Nel, before you come in, let's allow Honorable Hassan to ask a question to the Premier, then thereafter you'll come in. Hassan, question to the Premier.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Let me apologize. I was experiencing load shedding and electricity challenges at home, and as a result, I felt it much better just to come into the House. To the Premier, noting that the Office of the Premier's role is providing strategic leadership and direction to government and society, and that all departments report to this office, can the Premier indicate, number one, if the Office of the Premier has a system of monitoring and evaluating departmental performances, and if so, is the system able to assist departments to adhere to their annual performance plans? Number two, how does the system improve service delivery to the people of Gauteng? And three, is the Office of the Premier able to, through the monitoring and evaluation system, identify departments that are performing poorly and intervene? And what interventions does this office implement? Thank you very much.
Let's give to the Premier to respond.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair of Chairs. Thank you, Honorable Hassan. The first point I want to say is that between 1994 and 2009, the Office of the Premier had a policy section that was responsible for policy development and policy coordination across the whole of government. And in 2009, and from there up to 2019, another unit was established called the Performance Monitoring and Evaluation Unit, in line with the national government's introduction of the new Department of Performance Monitoring and Evaluation. Principally that unit in the Office of the Premier, working with the National Department of Performance Monitoring and Evaluation, its priority focus was to monitor government performance on the priorities of the term. In 2019, the Gauteng government re-established the policy unit in the Office of the Premier, again in line with the changes that were introduced in the presidency around separating the policy unit and the Department of Monitoring.
Premier, I'll still continue.
Load shedding, Deputy Chair.
Premier.
You know who brought load shedding here?
I think in that case, because it's not really completed the response, we'll move on to the executive, and then we'll give him chance again to really come back and respond fully before we get a supplementary question from Honorable Hassan and other members. I'll now move to Honorable Nel. That is a question to the NEC for Transport. Honorable Nel.
Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs, I'm sorry, I had load shedding. I've connected on another gadget now. Should I continue?
Yeah, thank you very much. You are back. Before you get loading, the loading again, you can continue.
Yeah, so I got cut when I was talking about the introduction in 2009 of the Performance Monitoring and Evaluation Unit. And in 2019, the reintroduction of the policy unit in the office of the Premier. Linked to that was 2 years earlier, the introduction of the delivery support unit, which would support specific departments on delivery priorities based on the delivery agreement signed by the Premier and the MECs. So just back to a bit of what this monitoring and evaluation unit and the policy unit do. Firstly, Honorable Hassan, our policy team, so monitoring and evaluation happens under that one umbrella, ensures that national government and municipalities in Gauteng understand the growing Gauteng together as a provincial development plan up to 2030. The unit also ensures that all the 5-year programs and annual performance plans, as well as the budgets of various departments and agencies, are aligned to growing Gauteng together. The unit is the one that prepares the delivery agreements that the Premier signs with the relevant MECs, and the Premier meets with both the MEC and the head of department regularly to look at the performance of various departments on the targets that have been outlined, either 5-year targets or annual targets. And in particular areas, intervene where a department is not meeting the targets. The unit also does ongoing research and policy development and ensures coordination across the city region, including tracking the impact and outcomes on the quality of life. So this unit works with other players. The unit also ensures that there are cross-cutting mainstreaming programs on women, on youth, people with disability, military veterans, and members of the LGBTIQ community across the department. That's the unit that supports that. So monitoring and evaluation happens across the board on those various programs. There is an electronic reporting tool, the EQPRS, which is used to do quarterly reports to track the work of various departments on the annual performance plans, the 5-year program, and growing Gauteng together. And then a midterm report or end-of-term report is produced. So you asked the second question, how does the system improve service delivery? So we've got the policy unit, which has got various areas of focus there. So the first thing is that every executive council meeting receives a report on the performance of various departments on the priorities for the year. And therefore, this is where monitoring and evaluation happens. And these reports also identify areas of intervention where there are areas of weakness. And it is also the system, you call it the system, because this system is under the policy unit. It is also through that we track service delivery commitments that have been made during Deresano community outreach meetings and how each department is doing on those commitments we have made in communities about unblocking service delivery. And in that sense, we can say that service delivery interventions that have to do with where provincial government is in full control, we always find that there is better follow-up on those matters, better follow-up and implementation. And there have also been interventions in departments where there are major weaknesses. These weaknesses are identified through the monitoring and evaluation reports and the delivery tracking stock take reports, as well as the service delivery interventions. So if you think of this as one system, it has got different parts. And the whole concern around it is whether the provincial government priorities are based on citizen concerns and citizens' aspirations. And as I said, every meeting of the Executive Council receives reports that shows how the provincial government is doing on the implementation of the commitments, including annual performance plans, a 5-year program, and the priorities of GGT 2030. Honorable Hassan, the announcement we made on the service delivery Thursdays and Fridays, and those outreach programs must be understood as part of this monitoring and evaluation system. Whereas you have a group of officials and a team that monitors, we also go to the ground to do direct interface with communities. As we did last week, we started last week, Thursday and Friday, as I announced in SOPA. In the city of Johannesburg, members of the Executive Council were all over the municipality, and this week we will go to Tshwane, and next week we are going to go to another region. All those must be understood as part of the monitoring and evaluation, as well as the interventions to ensure that the service delivery and the annual performance plans, objectives, and target setting delivery agreements are reached. The third question you're asking is whether through this monitoring and evaluation system we can identify departments that are performing poorly and intervene. I've already said that through those combination of measures, the work of the policy unit and the branch in the policy unit called the delivery support team there, and then Teresano, rapid response team and community outreach programs. Through all those, we have been able to identify departments that are falling behind, but also through the delivery stock take meetings, we have been able to identify poor performance and put in place interventions to correct those. And in some departments, very specific interventions have been made, either to draw in external support teams or send teams from the different departments in the province to go and help turn around the performance of a particular department. And this has gone a long way in improving, particularly reversing where departments have been shown to be failing. Together with all these measures, including interventions to support departments where there are problems that there's resistance to this support, we institute disciplinary action that in a few instances have led to the dismissal of officials in those departments. So thank you so much, Deputy Chair of Chairs. That is my response to Honorable Hassan's question.
Thank you very much. I wanted a supplementary question from Honorable Hassan. She's quite happy with the response. Yeah. Let me get other members, if there is a supplementary. Honorable Nell.
Thank you, Chair. I'm rising in terms of 138 sub 9. Just like to ask from the Premier that he says that they do intervene into departments, and I'd like to know from him how many interventions has there been in the last year and how many of them have been successful?
Honorable Premier.
Honorable Nell is asking a very, very specific question. Deputy Chair of Chairs, I assume that you are aware that if he really were interested in an answer, it's a detailed question. I can give an example, and I'm saying it's an example because if he says how many, and one of those departments has been the Department of Sports, Arts, Culture and Recreation, where we've made several interventions there, as I say, including drawing in external assessment and subsequently making on a more objective intervention. and I can only give an example. We have had in the Department of Health drawn in what is called the PSST. It's a group of professionals, public health professionals. Some of them are public health, others are public finance professionals who have worked in government before. Others are particularly doctors who are in a team that is helping us to support the Department of Health. We came to those conclusions after our monitoring and evaluation team had identified weaknesses in those departments. In the course of when we're dealing with COVID, we had lots of work from the Office of the Premier to support the teams that were dealing, to support, to provide support to the Department of Health and Department of Infrastructure Development on infrastructure delivery. So that's why I'm saying to you that because it's an involved question, I can only give examples in these three areas, Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs.
Thank you very much. Let's move to once more, Honorable Nell, the question to the MEC for Transport, Road and Transport.
Thank you, Chair, and let me thank and honor the MEC for actually respecting this House and being present when he answers questions. Unlike some of our other colleagues. But with regards to the automatic fare collection services in Gauteng for public transport, can the MEC please respond to the following? Has the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport and/or the National Department of Transport engaged on the possible introduction of Sunroll as a service provider for automatic fare collection in the province? Have the municipalities in the province been approached by either the DRT or the National Department of Transport to engage Sunroll to provide fare collection services for municipalities? If yes to one or two, was any provisional agreement reached to engage Sunroll as a service provider for automatic fare collection? 4, if yes to 3, what was the content of such agreement? And if no to 3, what was the extent of consideration by the MEC and his department to possibly engage Sunroll as a service provider for automatic fare collection in the province? Thank you.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs. Once more to the Premier, to the Chief Whip. We hardly greet the Leader of Government Business, Honorable Lesufi. And of course, honorable members, let me just, Honorable Nell, acknowledge your question. And the reply is that this matter of Sunroll and its role in fare collection has come to my attention through the Gautrain Management Board, GMA. And it is a matter that I have decided that we must seek clarity from Sunroll about it. But I just want to further clarify that we have not discussed the issue with Sunroll, but I came across this issue. And the approach I've taken is that, knowing Sunroll and e-tolls and all that, it's important to get clarity first. Now, I'd like to plead with you to allow this process of getting clarity first to be concluded. And also, I'll have to bring this matter to the attention of the Premier so that he can also understand what Sunroll is trying to do. And once that process is completed, I commit to come back to you so that I can give you a proper answer on this issue. I'm really pleading for more time to get clarity on the issue, but I am aware of the issue. Yeah, thank you very much.
Honorable Nell, anything?
Chair, yes, I take the MEC's bona fides on this. I'm just concerned that it seems like some entity is already approaching some of the municipalities out there with this issue, and it would be concerning if they do it without the province's knowledge. So, but thank you, Honourable MEC.
Yeah, I think on that note, we'll move to the next question. That's Honourable Ntseke to the Executive Council of Social Development.
Thank you, Ndata Kanyani. Since the President made an announcement on the 25th of October 2020 about the ECD Stimulus Fund, could the MEC please indicate how much of this grant in rands and cents has the department received to date? If there's still funds outstanding, how much of this in rands and cents, and by when will it be disbursed to the department? 3, how much of the money received has to date been paid out? Thank you.
Honourable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Chair of Chairs, and thank you very much for the questions, Honourable Ncheke. Responding to your first question, the department has received an amount of 77,763,000 rands in the PMG bank account relating to Presidential ECD Stimulus Fund. Responding to your second question, the 25 million additional funds are still being awaited from National Department of Social Development. And the same department mentioned to transfer this amount before the end of the financial year 2021-2022. Responding to your last question, 37 million rands, just over 37 million rands, which is 48% of the received amount, 77,763,000, has been spent to date. Thank you very much, Honourable Chair of Chairs.
Honourable Ntseke, any supplementary question?
Not a supplementary question, but a supplementary remark. As we honor International Women's Day, I do want to remind the MEC that if we don't get this money to ECD owners and assist them, we are again denying women abilities to provide for their families. And we know the ECD sector took a knock with the COVID because a lot of them were closed. So it's important that this department does not contribute to the suffering of women, but rather to the upliftment of women. Thank you very much.
Anything, MEC?
No, thank you very much. We'll do that as soon as National does its part. We will do that. Thank you, Honourable Chair of Chairs.
Thank you very much. And once more, Honourable Ntseke to the MEC for Social Development.
Thank you very much. Whilst SRD 350 Rand is a national competency, could the MEC please indicate how much of this money has been paid out in Gauteng, how many recipients have been paid, how many applicants were received in total, and what are the department's plans to meet the shortfall of people who qualify but have not received? Thank you.
MEC?
I'm thanking you again, Honourable Chair of Chairs, and thanks again, Honourable Ncheke. Responding to your first question, just over 9.7 billion of the money has been paid in the province of Gauteng. Responding to your second question, 2,522,796 recipients have been paid in Gauteng. Responding to your third question, 15,443,596 applicants at national level and 3,131,833 in Gauteng. Responding to your fourth question, Honourable Ncheke, SASSA is to appoint social workers on contract to assist with the information sharing about this 350 rands special grant. Secondly, it will embark on a media drive on the qualifying criteria
Thirdly, it will be posted on social media platforms to educate potential beneficiaries. And lastly, clients that inquire directly at the offices are assisted where applicable. Ke a leboga, Honorable Chair, Deputy Chair of Chairs.
Menseke.
MEC, thank you very much. And I was worried you might tell me that it's not a national competency. That's why I was very clear in my question. But I really appreciate your response. I think it's important that the shortfall be dealt with because there are still people who have not received that grant and still need money, especially when you see how much it helped people with the COVID lockdown, the loss of employment in this province. So thank you very much.
Deputy Chair, Deputy Speaker, I had my hand up for both questions, if I can be allowed a moment. And I'm raising...
Engelbrecht, you can come.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. On the first question I'm raising on Rule 134, subsection 7, and if I can be asked on question 4.SD03, if I can ask the MEC regarding the question on the ECD, if the department was aware of this huge stimulus package, is the lack of spending not due to bad planning and a lack of execution in spite of the great spending of 37 million? If the MEC can answer that question, and then at the same time, if I can take the liberty of asking on the second question of SD004, how many officials in employ of the Gauteng is still receiving these grants irregularly? Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Yeah, I think maybe it's ignorant from our part. We have passed that question, and we are now in the next question.
My hand was up, Deputy Chair. You didn't allow me to ask my question.
Okay, MEC, if there is any response, otherwise we move to the next question. MEC?
I'll respond to the last one, just for the respect of the process in the House. Deputy Chair of Chairs, to my knowledge, there aren't any officials in the Department of Social Development who are receiving the 350 stimulus grant. Thank you.
Let me give Honorable Bloom a question to the MEC for Health.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chair. To the MEC for Health. Regarding the devolution of powers to hospital chief executive officers, will the MEC please indicate what progress has been made in giving extra powers to hospital CEOs? 2, what accounts for any delays in this regard? 3, is the MEC in favour of giving control over maintenance to hospital CEOs? 4, if not, why not? And 5, what future steps are planned to ensure that hospital CEOs have maximum control over all operations affecting their hospitals? Thank you.
MEC Memkheti.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs, and thank you, Honorable Bloom, for the question. Response to question 1, the current delegations are adequate with the context of having to finalize the Gauteng Department of Health organogram and access of appropriate budget for redress of the demands of healthcare service delivery in the department. The current delegations are adequate for the transitional period of the now and the realization of the NHI. The amendment to the current delegations shall be informed by continuous improvement of systems and processes of corporate governance, fiscal stability, the end of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the situation where the state of disaster is no more necessary. Response to question 2, a number of facilities have new CEOs, and there is a need to walk the journey through this new paradigm of responsibility with the CEOs and the managers. They need to build a consistent and stable cadre of leadership and management for the department. We still need to acknowledge the complexity and unpredictability of operational nature of the healthcare systems or environment in the department, nationally and globally. Response to question 3. In principle, it makes sense to devolve the responsibility of maintenance to the hospital CEOs. However, it would not be advisable to transfer this responsibility to the hospital CEOs, at least just not yet, not in this financial year. Response to question 4, given the current situation, the state of our facilities and maintenance backlog, the move would end up taking most of their time and divert their attention from the core business of the patient care to solving historical under maintenance. Response to question 5, a prerequisite for the change would be to effectively address the backlog first and get the facilities to a reasonable state. The current OHS program is meant to address this historical challenge. In the meantime, the CEOs should continue taking care of minor maintenance activities using their 10% budget allocation to them. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair of Chairs.
Honorable Bloom.
Thank you, Honourable Acting Chair. Now, I asked this because the Premier referred favourably to this in response to me in the State of the Province debate, and he said, no, hospital CEOs will be properly empowered, but now we see they're not going to be properly empowered. I mean, the case study for this, quite frankly, is Sharpenbreke Johannesburg Hospital. The CEO there has got no control whatsoever about repairing the hospital, and that's why there's been massive delays. And, I hear the Honourable MEC, she says that current powers, delegated powers are adequate. Well, I don't think they are adequate. We need to get to maximum devolution of powers to hospital CEOs as soon as possible. As I said, it's incomprehensible that the CEO of a hospital has so little control over repairs and maintenance of their facility. Thank you.
Any member? I see the hand of Honourable Engelbrecht.
My apology, just a legacy hand.
Okay, thank you. In the absent, MEC.
Thank you very much, the Honourable Chair of Chairs. I think I agree with Honourable Bloom, and as well as the department, we have been discussing on to increase the delegations of the CEOs to a higher amount of close to $1 million. But we are speaking the now, and what the Premier announced in the State of the Province address needs a process that will be properly documented in making sure that whatever that we will be transferred to us as minor maintenance and leave out the statutory maintenance with DID, that still needs to happen. But I was talking to the now. Hence, in my response, Deputy Chair of Chairs, I referred to the now up to the end of the financial year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We've now concluded the business of the day. Now, the next sitting is tomorrow on Wednesday, the 9th of March, starting at 10. So this House is adjourned.
Thank you, Deputy Chair of Chairs. Thank you.